the new law is finally with us. I can put it this way. It takes three to tango. Not two, but three. And in order for this new framework to work, there are three necessary elements that should all come together for this to be effective.
All right, so we have here Olga from WH Partners. Olga, in August 2018, Malta has implemented this new regulatory framework. First of all, give us a brief background on this and what has changed since the implementation.
Right. Well, it's been a very long project, 2-3 years in the making. And first one is basically the law itself. And it provides the great music score, so to speak, for the scene. It shows that it is a foundation for the great performance for the dance. And what changed in the law? What changed in our music score? First of all, the licensing regime itself has changed. It is much more streamlined, much more simplified these days. Also, the new law has placed a much higher emphasis and strengthened the regulatory compliance aspect. Not only does it put a player and the public interest first, but it also provides for an intelligent compliance because it introduces the risk-based approach. So we got away from the useless and endless box ticking and paper pushing way of doing compliance and came with a risk-based approach, which is a much more intelligent way of putting the limited resources where they matter most, where the regulatory stakes are high. This is very important. And also because of the hierarchical way the new legislation is structured, the framework itself will be long-lived because it leaves a lot for the regulator itself, to put in. So the musician, so to speak, is the second very important element for this tango dance that we're going to have. And from that perspective, it's even more important when the music score leaves a lot of room for interpretation. And definitely there is a lot of discretion that the new law leaves for the regulator. And this discretion can be seen in many different respects and ways. For example, in the promulgating by the regulator new directives, which put a lot of meat on the bones on the framework of the law, which also translate the high-level regulatory objectives into a practical roadmap for the regulators to follow.
Amazing. I love the analogy. All right, so it makes it easier to understand, especially for those who are not so familiar with the Malta gaming landscape. Now, we've been hearing about the focus on consumer protection and responsible gaming with this new Gaming Act. From your perspective, how do you think regulators will be able to strike the balance between doing this objective, but at the same time enabling operators to still do their business and making profits?
Right. Here we come to the second and third element of the tango dance, so to speak, because I said the second is the regulator and the third is the operators. Because if nobody is dancing, it's a very sad dance floor, right? So in this perspective, from this point of view, the regulator and operator should work together. Of course, the regulatory objectives, the protection of the player is at the core of our new regime. And therefore, this is a sine qua non. The operators have to abide by these rules. But there is no more prescriptive approach. There is no more prescription of how to do every little thing in protecting the player. The operators today are given much more trust. And they can organize themselves and then they can implement the laws to quite a large extent the way they deem fit, provided, of course, they fit and meet regulatory objectives. So I guess it is in this dialogue and the consultation with operators, because at the end of the day, the operators are the most knowledgeable of how to implement certain things. That's where the balance will be struck.
All right, so where do we go from here? After maybe a year from now, what sort of expectations or developments we'll be seeing in the Malta gaming landscape?
Well, first of all, I hope that the authority will ramp up its regulatory capacity, because I think there is still room there for improvement, both in terms of skills and mentality of the workforce at the MGA and also in the sheer numbers. It's important to have numbers so there are no delays. Sometimes we still experience delays and I hope it will change. Also, the next year we're going to have a sandbox for crypto payments. and blockchain implementation in the gaming landscape going live. It will be very interesting to see how that develops. In the player protection scene, we are going towards the unified self-exclusion database for the whole country. This is the big project. Probably it will take a bit longer to be implemented, but everybody is looking forward to it too.
Well, exciting times ahead then.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Olga, for your time. Really insightful.
Thank you.